So I'm going to look at number 7 in section 3.6. I'm going to find the derivative of this function here. I'm going to show this two ways, okay? First off is simply using the quotient rule and of course the derivatives that we've learned in this section for both the sine function and the cosine function. Derivative of sine of x is cosine of x, derivative of cosine of x is negative sine of x. So if I take the derivative of this function, I just take the derivative of sine of x. Of course, that's cosine of x, right? I'll get that here, derivative sine of x, minus the derivative of 8 over cosine of x. So derivative of the first one, sine of x, says just cosine of x, minus what? Well, here I'm going to use the quotient rule. Remember how that works. I've got the top function is 8, the bottom function is cosine x. So this will be the derivative of the top, right? Derivative of 8 times the bottom, cosine of x, minus 8 times the derivative of the bottom, cosine of x, over the bottom function, cosine of x squared. But here's the kicker. The derivative of 8 is what? 0, right? Any constant function's derivative is 0. And what's 0 times cosine of x? Well, it's 0. Derivative of cosine of x, as we set up here, is negative sine of x. So be real careful here. I've got 0 minus 8 times the negative sine of x becomes 0 plus 8 sine of x. Now this minus sign's out here, so don't forget it's actually going to be cosine of x minus 8 sine of x, and in the bottom right, cosine of x squared, we just write as cosine squared x. So this could be some way to write the derivative using the quotient rule. Now, you don't have to use the quotient rule. By the way, you could rewrite this as 8 times cosine of x to the negative 1 power and use the chain rule. Or the second method I'm going to talk about is the fact that, well, what is cosine of x to the negative 1 power? What is 1 over cosine of x? The answer, 1 divided by cosine of x, is the same thing as secant x. You also learned in this section that the derivative of secant x is secant x times tangent x. You should know that, okay? So if I rewrite 8 divided by cosine of x, right, as 8 times secant x, then the derivative becomes, well, the derivative of sine again is cosine of x. And what's the derivative of 8 secant x? 8 secant x tangent x, right? 8's a constant multiple. Derivative of secant x is secant x tangent x. And the minus sign is there again because remember we're subtracting in the original, right? So derivative sine of x is cosine of x. This being 8 secant x, derivative is 8 secant x tangent x. Now you might look at this answer for my derivative and compare it to this one. How are these the same? I mean, they both have the same cosine of x, but minus 8 sine of x over cosine squared x. How is that minus 8 secant x tangent x? Well, very easy. Secant x is 1 over cosine of x. Tangent x, remember, is sine x divided by cosine of x. What's that give you? You got minus 8 up top times 1 times sine of x. That's minus 8 sine of x. And what do you have in the bottom? Cosine of x times cosine of x, cosine squared of x. So you can see right here that this answer is the same as this one here. So on a test, I would accept either answer. Some might argue that this one's in a better form just because we don't have a fraction going on here. But I think either answer is fine. Okay, hope this is helpful.